What's up, guys? It's me, Lumos Theromax, and I'm here again hanging out with my boy Boost, and we're here to discuss the book of Mando this time around. The new episode, this is episode 5, right? It's been pretty crazy, and I'm really looking forward to it. So thanks once again for Boost jumping back on the channel, man. Go ahead, man. Go for it.
Boost Goose, Boost Willis, just a big Star Wars fan, and here to discuss the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, man, this one was a little bit of a weird one, to say the least. I know it's got like a lot of very odd feelings from I think every single person I've talked to whenever it comes to that, but I don't know, man. I'm getting this weird vibe that, as I kind of implied earlier, this episode was more of like just a random episode of The Mandalorian that happened to somewhat connectively fit its way into the Book of Boba Fett. And so I just don't really know like why they want to do that exactly. I wish they had like Boba Fett doing these things instead of like Din Djarin in his own series. It's just kind of weird to have like a guy who has his own series come into yours and then like be cooler than you are in your show.
Yeah, oof.
Like he's getting styled on in his own solo run, man. It's such a big rip.
I think what they're really trying to lay the groundwork for is because a lot of times with these Star Wars series, I mean, we see it in Mandalorian, we see it in Boba Fett, that it's a lot of work to get to a sort of payoff, and they have to answer all those questions about Mando, and we're probably not going to get a show until maybe next year if they're filming Mandalorian season 3 right now currently, but I think they're working on the Canopster show, and so you have a lot of questions, and Din Djarin's out there in the present day, and we have Boba Fett trying to get all these things, so there's a lot to work towards right now.
Yeah, it just sucks that it comes at the detriment of a beloved character's kind of franchise. It's just kind of like a big rip situation. Like, honestly, I'm not upset with how good the episode was. It's just like, imagine going to watch a Superman movie or like a Superman TV show, and then Batman showing up in a 7 to 8 issue episode run, and Batman just like beating everyone up in your show, and just like there's whole comics dedicated just like completely other characters who aren't even really central to the plot. It just doesn't make any sense to me,
dude. It kind of, so the director for this was, I believe it was Bryce Dallas Howard, and I think she worked on season 2 and season 1 of The Mandalorian, and she did really well, but Jon Favreau was still the lead, and the way that they wrote Din Djarin compared to Boba Fett is very drastic. I think we touched on this multiple times, and now we're seeing it play out in real time, that a lot of things that made Boba Fett really cool, that they're using a lot of those parts for Din Djarin.
Yeah, and like him showing up to that room where, or just like his whole bounty at the beginning. Just like, look at that, that's like some Chad ass shit like Boba Fett should have done and pulled off. I mean, this is his own show. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, it was still badass. Like, it was cool as fuck. But like, man, for real?
Honestly, so my main thing is, like you're saying right now, is that this is a really good episode, but this is the Book of Boba Fett. The only thing we saw, the biggest connection we saw to Boba Fett in this was just, ending scene. But that's about it. Like, this thing, had you cut out the last 2 minutes through 1 minute, you could have just passed it off as the season 3 Mandalorian. Hands down.
Honestly, like, I feel like maybe this was just like filler. Like they just needed like filler, and they're like, oh fuck it, we'll just throw Mando in here because he's popular, right? I mean, he sells, so it'll like go well. But like, Imagine if in the last episode where she was like, well, you know what money can buy, and instead of just hearing the theme song, Mando was just there, and we just skipped like all of this, and he was like, what do we do next? You know, like, that would have been like badass as fuck, and we could have just like hurried this along, and then as he left, like after everything happens, Boba looks to him and says, what were you doing on Mos Eisley anyway? And he says, I needed a new ride. And you see the lady walk out with the ship, and he gets in the ship and flies off, some sort of new sick, and you wouldn't know, like, you're like, holy shit, what the hell was that? That looked like some form of a Nabooian starfighter that was like all sorts of crazy. And you could like actually find that out in season 3. Like, that would actually have been really cool and really well executed, like, in my opinion. Not like, but like I said, it was still a really good episode. It's still like badass as fuck. It's just weird execution, man. In the wrong series.
Like, tying back to what you said, like, it really sucks as like a Boba Fett fan that the best episode is the Mandalorian episode so far.
The best episode of the Book of Boba Fett centers around the Mandalorian Din Djarin, and yeah, that's big rip.
And dude, literally, we have the same writers, we have the same people. The next director for the next episode is actually Dave Filoni, and it's kind of alluded, you know, in this episode. Are we in spoilers yet or no?
I mean, we've already been giving spoilers this whole time, but yeah, go for it.
All right, I think we've danced around it enough. You know, if you haven't seen the episode yet, here's your warning: 3, 2, 1. We might see Grogu and Luke Skywalker in the next episode.
Yeah, and that's seeming really interesting. Once again, like, that's everything. I think everything that happened in this episode is exactly what you would want in a Mandalorian. Everything we wanted to follow up on, like the final episode we were kind of looking for the conclusion of Mandalorian, happened here, and it was really good. Dude, he literally made some sort of what I think was chainmail for Grogu. Like, dude, that's all that shit is getting badass. Like, I'm hyped for that.
As well as the differences between the Mandalorian and the Jedi. And then seeing Boba Fett becoming a lot more like a Mandalorian personally, because the way that she's described it, loyalty, solidarity, you know, that's what they stand for. Literally, Boba Fett's out here just recruiting a family of people. And in the second episode, when we went to the mayor, even the mayor was like, it's a hard thing running a family versus bounty hunting.
Yeah.
Boba Fett's becoming this different thing, and as much as this episode had no real connection to him, it did kind of.
Well, I do think they are painting that dichotomy. Yeah. And to follow up on that, to really drive that point home a little bit further, I wonder deep down whether that den mother of those Mandalorians wasn't intentionally poking and prodding to get him banished. Why?
True.
Because she's pushing him down the path of what it would take to be a Jedi. Remove all attachments.
So you think maybe Din possibly is force sensitive or something like that?
Well, no. I'm not saying that whatsoever, but she kind of recognized his place was with Grogu, and the only way to do that was to break all attachments, because that's what Jedi have to do, right? And in that situation, she... I mean, literally exiled him from their race, right? From their people, or from their code. And as a result of that, that frees him up to go, like, chase down Grogu, right?
Yeah.
Because he's no longer as bound by the attachments of the Mandalorians. So we're seeing a lot of very odd metaphors between two people being forced down those paths. I do agree with that.
Yeah, like, I'm seeing... You know, he has to go to the fountains, and, you know, supposedly the fountains are destroyed because Mandalore was ultimately destroyed by the Empire. That, come into that scene, did you get Terminator vibes when they destroyed Mandalore?
Yeah, dude, I really did get Terminator vibes, because you were just watching all the people, they're like running through, like shooting the bodies and stuff. The only thing you didn't see was like a robot step on a skull and like crush it, you know? But yeah, no, it was really like, I'm not gonna say graphic because you didn't see like anything directly crazy on scene, but like the absurd usage of the explosions and just like the mass destruction you could see was wild.
That was just it was insane to see that this entire planet, and it said during 19 BBY, I believe, or when did the siege of
Mandalore.
I don't know. Yeah, like when did it say it
I
happened? It
I
said,
couldn't tell you like directly off the timeline off the top of my head, to be honest. Like year wise, I couldn't do that. But
I'm
sure we
very
can.
curious.
I'm sure we can dig that up. No problem. I'm sure we'll be able to post that action down the way.
And as well, she talked about Bo-Katan trying to reclaim being the leader of Mandalore, which happened in Star Wars Rebels. And it's weird to see that they didn't name Sabine Wren.
Yes, exclusively. Yeah. I wonder what was up with that too. We got a lot of name drops from all these other groups, but not Sabine yet. Because at this point in time, she should be a very prominent member of the community. Like, very prominent member of the community.
As well as they didn't really discuss about Darth Maul's time as Mandalore.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they ain't gonna bring that shit up. But it is super intriguing to me that the amount of, like, Mandalorian lore and tidbits were just getting sprinkled in through this episode that were really cool. Like, once again, we're referencing the Mythosaur, I mean, directly. All sorts of history exclusively whenever it comes to like the Darksaber, and of course just anytime the Den Mother's up on the screen. I'm pretty sure that's what they called her. Was it Den Mother, right?
Either that or the Armorer.
Or the Armorer, maybe that's what it was. But like anytime she's on screen, she's always just saying she only says really valuable things, and she's always really good at just like handing you lore. And anytime she's on screen, it's dope. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things built up, as well as, I'm drawing a blank right now, but the one who fought over the Darksaber against Din, Vizsla, he was a Vizsla.
Yeah, that big ass, which we had assumed they all died in that run, but it appears at least 3 of the Vizsla and his buddies managed to survive. But yeah, he was that was interesting. I heard he was a Vizsla, and I was like, oh no way. I thought somebody was scheming and memeing for quite some time, and sure enough, they did wind up dueling. But yeah, guys, whatever.
Yeah, like you could tell early on whenever he took out that lightsaber. I know these guys are wearing helmets, but for some odd reason, you could just tell his expression that seeing that saber and seeing what it meant to his clan, especially since his I don't know what age or whatever he is, but somebody in his clan actually had it when they were Death Watch.
Yeah.
And so to see that again, and to see it so close that he could almost reclaim Mandalore again to his family and be, in a way, in his mindset, the rightful heir, is just really, it's really cool to me.
It was tragic. They took a character who had almost zero lore behind him and made him a relevant character very quickly. That was pretty dope, I do give you that. I think both the Darksaber, just the significance of the Darksaber within the idea of any of the Mandalorians is like that deep. So much so, like, it doesn't matter who it is, they'll just like go ham on him. Just for the idea of potentially being able to unite Mandalore. And especially with Mando getting exiled from here on out while wielding the Darksaber, that puts so many crosshairs on Din Djarin's head currently. Like, so many, because now any Mandalorian out of any faction sees him as not being in any of the Mandalorian groups anymore. So he's like, it's open season on him.
Yeah, and that it does leave the opportunity for him to join Boba Fett, but I really doubt he'll take him on that offer, especially since, you know, he has that big connection to Grogu, and Boba Fett is still amassing the strength and power. I mean, we even see like this little bit of lore drop going towards from the Jawas with the mechanic, how the Jawas were talking about how the Pikes have just really taken over that space system of Tatooine.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see Boba Fett and his friends, fighting off all these pikes. And, you know, I really don't want the next episode to just be Din goes to see Luke and Grogu, because that just leaves us one episode to clean everything up.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in and do, as well as there is a possibility that Darksaber can fall into Boba Fett's hands, and Boba Fett does not care about the Mandalorians.
So, I was actually thinking about that. I'm wondering, maybe it was just like an executive decision from like Disney saying, hey yo, that guy from The Mandalorian is fucking crazy popular, make sure you put his ass in anything coming out, because he's that big. Like, we know we'll make money off of it. That might have been the case. I'm hoping there's some sort of greater creative decision exclusively for the idea of him being an entire episode in this story, because hopefully I want them to be intertwined. There has to be some reason, like plot wise, that this is happening. And what I'm hoping for is they're both going to wind up in a moment where they're opposing one another, and that opposition is going to lead to potentially, who knows, maybe Boba will want to take that sword from him and bring back the more like old school Mando way that he's currently moving away from, having kind of existed and seen like the potentiality in like Grogu in like a different perspective.
It looks like we're at a crossroads where there's a lot of potential for these things to happen, as well as it can kind of be a callback to when Boba Fett himself became Mandalore for Legends. And he went out and he did these things. He started bringing all these things back. And I think, going back to how I said that they're using a lot of things that made Boba Fett unique, they're using that for Din.
Yeah. Seriously.
And, this is just icing on the cake to kind of complete that a lot of those things is what Din is now. As well as the symbolism in the show. The symbolism in the show has been just like blatantly in your face. Like, you can just see it and you'll understand it. Going back to the Darksaber, which is like you're fighting the blade, like you're fighting your kind of perhaps destiny in a way. How he's having a hard time dealing with the weight of the sword. I mean, you can just swap out that word for the weight on your shoulders, because he doesn't realize what he has yet.
Well, I think I would interpret it slightly different. I think that's the burden of his people, right? As you said earlier, think about how his people reflect upon that blade, and he's not willing to. He doesn't care. I guess he genuinely has no, like, he just wants to do stuff, right? Like, he doesn't want to be leader of the Mandalorians or anything like that. He wants to go hang out with Grogu. At the end of the day, that's really what he wants. He wants to go chill with Grogu. And that's why I think she looked at him and said, you're not fighting your opponent, you're fighting yourself. Because that sword represents the unity of all of their people and that ideology. And he doesn't fit it very well. He's always been a loner.
That is true. And then the first thing that he gets Grogu, and he connects with him.
Yeah.
As well as you see him when he took the bus, the space bus basically, and that little green kid, he looks at him, and then of course, it comes to mind that he sees Grogu. Even the way that they kind of tied up that little satchel, or that little, I don't know what to call it, but where he carried the armor for Grogu, it looks just like him. He's got the little ears and the kind of face.
That was definitely intentional. It was really well done visuals, to say the least.
And just, like he saw that Rodian, takes it out and just, thinks about it. And going to the next part where he goes and gets the Starfighter, what did you think about that?
It was like, I don't know, like, she's a fun-loving character. The lady in this, she's like the most lovable, adorable lady on Tatooine that's building the ship with him. But like, man, we could have done half of that episode in like, or half, maybe not half the episode, but all of the time to him and her like fixing that up, that could have been like an 80s montage of shit going on. Like we did not need the absurd amount of time hanging out with her that we got, though she is very lovable. I will admit it, but it is like, yeah. Starfighter in itself, I wonder if that's one of the ones I can't remember back to
Anakin's.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm pretty sure, is that like Anakin's from way back in episode 1?
See, I thought about the same way, but I'm like, would Anakin as a little kid just like fly all the way back to Tatooine without anybody knowing?
Okay, my bad. Not Anakin's, right? Remember, they showed up on a Nabooian cruiser in that first, in the first movie. Yeah. I don't remember if they had.
One.
I was about to say, I don't remember if they had ships that had followed with them. Fuck,
no, I don't think so.
Did they not? Okay, I was about to say, if so, that's like fucking wacky. Like the connection that's there. I would like some explanation as to why there's a Nabooian starfighter. Like, if I was to think about it rationally, that would be the only time I can logically think why there would be a Nabooian Royal Guard starfighter on Tatooine.
Okay, going into lore and going to what I remember that when they were actually leaving, I think Naboo, they're like, oh, the closest planet is this, this planet on the outer rim, Tatooine, and they're like, all right, let's just go there and stop by for repairs. Closest planet, being Tatooine, Naboo, either that. Excuse me. Either that, or you could say that there was a starfighter that stopped by there and probably lost it all, especially with the way Tatooine was back in the day. And to say they are like, far away, I don't think so. And maybe I am wrong about them not having like an escort, but I just remember it was Qui-Gon, it was Obi, it was R2, it was two decoys and Padme.
I was about to say, I remember. Yeah, they had Padme was in one of the Nabooian starfighters that accompanied that silver ship.
So they probably did stop by.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that wouldn't be too unreasonable at some point in time to say that there, like, something has to do with like that interaction. Chances are has to do with one of the times, but I cannot. Because, like, that's not like an average person would, like, purchase that, or, like, some guy would just go on a bender and, like, go lose it all on Tatooine. Those are, like, the Royal Guard starfighters, right? Or, like, the military starfighters, essentially. So, it would be weird to me to just see, like, random bits of that. But, I mean, either way, it's water under the bridge. It works for the story. Interesting choice, though, out of all the vessels to pick, the interesting choice on the Nabooian starfighter.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, it's gotta have something, because you remember Padme's like main starship, that big silver, that big gray one.
Yeah.
And literally Mandalorian, Din Djarin is just like known for being that entire like gray, that Beskar steel. So him like finding like a ship that matches the owner, boom, right there. Because the way he started, he had like bits and pieces like put together of his armor, but now he has Beskar. And now his ship matches him, Yeah. The slave one matches Boba Fett. The Millennium Falcon matches Han Solo. I think it's just that Star Wars storytelling about how the things around him identifies the character. Either that or the ship's gonna blow up in the next episode.
True. It was kind of a sus start, to say the least. I don't know. I think it's cool, especially giving him like a beefed up fucking essentially just a muscle car, right? Like a fucking muscle machine. I think that that idea is really cool. I do like that. I just wish it was like Boba getting it, because it would make more sense for him to get something like that, considering he's on Tatooine, and that would be the jank technology they would throw together for somebody who would be like running the place. But yeah,
if anything, I want them to do some more with the slave one or the fire spray.
Yeah, like,
because
it would be cool to see something like that happen in the Book of Boba Fett.
Easily, dude. He could have just like called up the slave one. Like, if if they're being under fire and they can't get out, he could just call in the slave one to do like a run or something like that. Because if there's literally a syndicate coming to fight Boba Fett, and he's got him, he's got Finnick, he's got Chrysanthemum, he's got the biker gang, he's got 2 Gamorrean guards who's been there since the start that I think are gonna betray at some point. He doesn't have much, and now he's got Din. He has to go on a recruitment run for more people.
Yeah.
If they're literally fighting an army.
A few legends will not, come up against like the whole fucking force of the Pikes. Like it's badass, but it ain't that badass, you know.
Yeah. This kind of like seeing this entire episode just be centered around Din kind of loses my hope to see, Bosk, Dengar, Omega, these group of bounty hunters that Boba Fett had as rivals at some point to show up and be his allies.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see if this next episode is just the Mandalorian, season 2.5 where Din goes and sees Grogu and sees Luke. This last episode, I think, will probably not save the series. Because don't get me wrong, this episode was amazing, but the series overall, one good episode and the last 2 being someone else's show kind of brings me down.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely not looking good for the totality of the Book of Boba, to say the least, especially for the consistency of, like, Boba's character. But the problem is that, like, this Mando shit was badass. It's everything we wanted from a Mandalorian show. It's unfortunate it's not focusing around Boba. But, like, either way, I think I'm curious. I'm not saying it's bad yet, but it's not looking good, to say the least, for Book of Boba Fett. We have, 2 episodes left, you said?
Yeah, because I think this season's only 7 episodes. But I think the last episode might be an hour as well, because this Mandalorian episode, I believe, was 50 minutes. It wouldn't be unreasonable for the last episode to be an hour, especially, like, I still believe a Rancor scene is going to happen. And, it's alluded to that he's going to ride the Rancor and just go around tearing up Tatooine. As well as the second episode, it just might be, then goes to see Luke and Grogu. Han shows up, all these people. And then Boba Fett's like, hey, Luke, you remember me? Or we don't know. I think it's just going to be another Mandalorian episode. Kind of going to be disappointed if it is. Going to be excited if it is, because, we get to see Luke, Grogu again, see all these good things. But, then that leaves just that one episode.
Yeah. Like I said, definitely looking disappointing, to say the least, for the consistency of this season. If this season flops, I don't know if there will be a heck of a lot of follow-up, is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, for sure, we know season 3 of Mandalorian's coming out. Do we know if there's going to be a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett? The last episode will tell, or if a lot of people like it, or,
Yeah, I have no doubts Mando's continuing, because at least there's some sort of long-term plot going on there, and he's doing things in his own show, so, I mean, he's got that going for him. But we'll roll up here, Boost. What you got for an outro, bro? Hit us with it.
Okay, hold on. If the Book of Boba Fett's like this, yo, I'm kind of nervous for the Kenobi show. This actually has me nervous.
I swear to God, if Din Djarin is running around the Kenobi show, I swear to God, if the Kenobi show is a bunch of him having PTSD, and then Din Djarin showing up for like 2 or 3 episodes, just kicking everyone's ass in the show, and then like just going away, I'm gonna be pretty salty. That's all I'm saying.
But yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my outro. The Canopster show better be good.
Yeah, true. Don't let me down. Don't let me down, Lucasfilm. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I'm starting to wonder if the family, or the new idea of what Boba Fett is building, is kind of where we'll see a lot of these characters wind up down the road. But you never know, man. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens between those two down the way. But for now, it's been a blast hanging out. Thanks for chilling, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to both myself, the coffee shop content creators down below, and we'll see you next time, Lanterns. Later.
Peace.